What's going on, guys? This is Ryan from BSing Sports. Doing just a little quick skit on the MLB All Star game. I don't know if you guys can see behind me, but I can't really change the layout either. But I have the All Star game banner behind me on the screen. Just wanted to give my opinions on this year's All Star game. Give a little quick rundown. First, to lead off, I found out an interesting stat today, or number rather. It's not really a stat. Ken Griffey Jr. is the eighth highest paid player on the Cincinnati Reds this season, and he hasn't played for them since 2008. So deferred money for the win. Baseball, you can defer money. Everybody pretty much knows about Bobby Bonilla and how he gets paid, a couple $1 million, every year until 2035. Hasn't played since the 90s, or early 2000s rather. So good for him. It's a great retirement investment. But there's plenty of other players across all sports that do it as well. But today I did find out that Ken Griffey Jr. is the eighth highest paid player on the Cincinnati Reds. What an interesting stat. To the All Star game. This is a really harsh truth that a lot of you need to hear, is that the MLB All Star game might be the worst All Star game in the four major sports. I had a conversation with Jake Biasato from Talking 215. Go ahead and give them a check out. If you got some free time, they're on Spotify. They're on Facebook. Great streaming service for Philadelphia sports. They're fantastic over there. But anyway, I was having a conversation with him on Twitter, and the MLB All Star Game's become a joke. Over 10% of the league, has made the All Star game this year, and to me, that's just a really high number. Over 80 players this year are going to be All Stars, and to me, that doesn't signify being an All Star. And Ken Rosenthal said it best on Twitter. It's hold on a second. Actually, I'm going to have to reply to him. Anyway, sorry before we're so rudely interrupted from Jake Biasato and Talking 215. Anyway, the All Star game, it's comedic. It's comedic. It's a joke. Over 10% of the league being an All Star, that does not signify the best of the best to me, and that number is only going to grow substantially as long as the fans are in control of the voting, because people, the fans want to be involved. The All Star game's for the fans, and I understand that. However, the harsh truth is the MLB All Star game sucks. The way that it is designed is poor. First of all, why do you have a system that is in place where Fernando Tatis and other players like Fernando Tatis, who have not played a single game this season, are even on the ballot, let alone allowed to be voted? Fernando Tatis finished 5th in the NL in All-Star voting for shortstops. That's ridiculous. The guy hasn't played a single game this year. So I don't understand, how a system is designed, intentionally designed like that, let alone promoted. And then we expect, for the All-Star game to be taken seriously. Secondly, with the All-Star game being in the middle of the season, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, because, there's been multiple occasions, and the last two of them being Philadelphia Phillies, ironically, were MVPs of the season. Guys who were voted most valuable player throughout the season were not even voted to the All-Star game, I guess because their first halves weren't as good as their second halves. That's a big issue that, you have when and I will answer this question in a second. I will post it right now, but I will answer it in a second. And that is a big issue that you have when you have the All-Star game take place in the middle of the season. Now, it does also take place in the middle of the season in hockey, but the All-Star game there in hockey is probably the best. This isn't a show about hockey. This is a show about me talking about the MLB All-Star game, where it's just absolutely ridiculous. Over 80 guys are All-Stars. What happened to 26-man rosters? If somebody can't make the All-Star game, it should kind of just be like a too bad, it's not a game that needs to be taken seriously anyway. In all honesty, I'm genuinely surprised that they play 9 innings. And the fact that one player from each team needs to make the All-Star game, it's embarrassing. You got guys like Zach Wheeler, who are pitching at an elite level this year, minus his last start where he got a little roughed up. Pitching at an elite level this year, can't be an All-Star, because what happens is all the good positional players from the good teams get voted in by the fans. And then in turn, what happens is all the pitchers from crappy teams end up being on the All-Star team, like Luis Castillo. Not saying he's not a good pitcher, because he is, but they have to fill that spot. A Cincinnati Red has to make the All-Star team. Why? Zach Wheeler's outpitched Luis Castillo easily this year, and Castillo's had a fine year. But if you ask me who deserves to be an all-star more, it's Zach Wheeler, hand over fist. I think the whole system, everything that they do with the MLB All Star game is a little bit flawed. I think the fact that one player, like, it should be the best 26 guys in each league. It used to be 25. Now that the rosters are 26, I understand the expansion. And then maybe 5 reserves. But that's it. That's all it needs to be. I don't understand this need that, like, okay, well, 10 guys have bowed out. We got to replace these 10. Most of these dudes probably wouldn't play anyway. I mean, I would be okay if they shortened the All-Star game to like 6 innings or something like that, just for the simple fact of, one, the game. I mean, no other, All-Star event is really taken as seriously as baseball. I don't understand why they play like a 9-inning game, or why there's I know people wanted a home run derby for a tiebreaker, and that's fine. That's better than playing an extra innings game, but why even have a tiebreaker at all? It's the All-Star game. Who cares? Now, I have personally not watched an All-Star game since it stopped determining home field advantage in the World Series. Now, does that mean I think it should go back to that? No, I don't think it ever should have been involved with that in the end anyway, because essentially you're giving home field advantage in the World Series to the fans. And that's a terrible idea too. But that was probably the only legitimate meeting in the whole MLB All Star game. Now it's just a popularity contest. See Albert Pujols being involved in this whole sympathy thing for Pujols. I get that he is a legendary player. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I get that he is a Hall of Famer, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nonetheless, he is a very legendary player in this generation. But this sympathy stuff for Pujols and Cabrera, it's a tragedy. It's atrocious, and it's exactly what is wrong with the MLB All Star game and its voting. That being said, I think that they need to move on from the MLB All Star game. It can't be in the middle of the season. They should kind of do what they do with the All Pro in the NFL, to be honest with you. They kind of just need to, make it like a vote, like, hey, you were an All Pro in baseball this year, and then move on from that. Because having it halfway through the season in other sports is a big difference from baseball, because there's still 75, 76, 77 games left to play for some of these teams. You could have a fantastic half a year and end up getting voted MVP, and you weren't an all-star. It's just atrocious. The way the whole setup is a tragedy. Now I'm going to go answer Tanya's question, because, like I said, I was going to try and keep this to about 10 minutes. Do you think the home run derby was fair? Some say it wasn't, because some pitches were thrown for home runs after the time expired. To answer that question very honestly, I didn't watch the home run derby. As soon as I heard Albert Pujols was going to be a part of the home run derby, I laughed all the way to watching The Ranch on Netflix while the home run derby was going on. Because like I touched before, the fact that Albert Pujols was even involved in any of this is a tragedy. It's exactly what's wrong with the All-Star game. It's exactly what's wrong with the voting. The fact that Fernando Tatis was 5th in the NL among shortstops, despite the fact that he has yet to even lace up the cleats this season. Terrible. It's all an embarrassment. And it's not something that I'm ever going to invest some time in again, unless they make some serious changes. Like I said, I would be okay with giving, the players like 3 or 4 days off in the middle of the season, because it is such a long and grueling season. 160, most people don't think about baseball as the most physically active sport. There's 162 games in the season, even for the worst players. So you got to understand that takes a toll on your body. You're taking thousands of swings every week. That alone is physically grueling. You imagine the core strength you're going to have to be able to rotate yourself thousands of times a week like that. Or pitchers, the physically the taxation that it has on their arms, which is a whole other separate conversation. I'm sure I'll do a short skit on the way that pitchers are treated nowadays. It's embarrassing. But to me, the MLB All-Star game is a joke, and it has been a joke for some time. And I will not be watching the MLB All-Star game or any of the events that go on during MLB All-Star weekend until there's some seriously dramatic changes needed. That's going to do it all here from BSing Sports. I apologize that my co-hosts did not get to give their opinion on it. I'm sure that they will later. Follow me on Twitter, Ryan at BSing, at BSing Sports. Just give us a follow, like, share. It really doesn't cost anything to help us spread our brand, guys, and we greatly appreciate all the support that we get. Whoever that heart react is from, I appreciate that all the way. Thank you so much to the viewers who watch this show live. I appreciate it. Go ahead and give it a share. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything. So